Right, today on the workbench we're going to build the Horten ho229, the 172 scale part of it. So I've already done an unboxing on this, so I'll put a link up later on in the video if you want to watch it, but you'll see there what you get in the box. So we'll put that to one side, get out as instructions, find out what we want first. And it looks like we're building engines first, so we'll start with that sprue. It looks like an E-sprue. When you're cutting these parts off, just be a bit careful, because some of these gates, sprue gates, they're very small. Well, I say small, but hard to get the nippers in. So just be careful when you're doing it, because it can be a bit easy to damage the parts. But there's 4 parts to each engine, and you've got to build 2. Using my Tamiya ultra thin, as you've probably seen a million times if you've watched my videos. It's my favourite. There's quite a few small detailed parts to put on these, and they've got flash on some of them, so you just have to clean it off. And it's the same with this framework. There's flash on quite a few bits of this, and you've just got to very lightly either sand it off or scrape it off with your blade. Can be a pain, to be honest. These are very fragile, these frames. It's that thin. They're good, but like I say, the fragileness of them makes it a little bit, got to be careful. There is also quite a lot of these thin parts to go on as well of that framework, so you've just got to try and make sure you're putting them in the right spot. There is quite a lot of locating points as well, it shows you, so it's not too bad. Like there for where engines sit. These are the cannons, and I'm just gluing the frame, the older of them, onto the side. Again, you doubled up, you're doing the same on the other one. Ooh. Yeah. And the engines again, they've got a little locating pin that just makes it so that they will sit in nicely. You can just see the hole there, and you just spin the engine until it drops in like that. It's a good plastic to glue as well. It tends to glue quite quick. You do get some, and the seem to take ages to go off with the Tamiya extra thin, but yeah, that glues pretty fast. Got one of them on each side. They're just pushing. Again, there's locating pins. I believe these are the fuel tanks. They're putting them into these wing struts. Everything fits perfectly. If it's not a simple square fit like that, it has locating pins so it fits lovely. Quite impressed with it, to be honest. For the size of it, the scale, they've really worked the detail into this. Again, you can see there's like locating pins again. Like I say, it does help though. I mean, the amount of times you get them and they don't have out, and you're trying to think to yourself, do I shove it an extra couple of mil forward or back, or what do I do? The wings go on easy enough. Once you've got them into the place where you need them to be, you can just put extra glue in like that, just to make sure you gain a little bit better bond, to make sure they don't easily snap off. In my case, I will probably do it very easily if I didn't do this. You could leave them parts off if you wanted, these engine covers, but seeing as I'm taking all of that section off, that's my idea anyway, so that you can see it better, I'm just including them. The undercarriage wheel section, this all glues together nice and leaves it so that the wheel will turn. Half of the time they expect you to glue the wheel to it. I'm spraying a primer on here, Mr. Finishing Surface of 1500 in grey. I'm primarily using the Minister Finishing Surfacer on this because it's my favourite primer. It's the best primer I've ever found. More so because of how hardy it is. You can rub hell out of this and it never comes off at kit either. That's why I like it as my favourite. Right, I'm spraying now. This greeny colour is actually RLM02 from Ammo MIG, which is paint number AMIG-217. I find Ammo's paint spray lovely if you put a thin coat first and then go over the top again with a better coat. If you try and put too much on at once, it can leave a bit of a peel finish. It's not very nice, but if you do it with a thin coat, it's lovely. And this one this time is RLM76 and the paint number is AMIG-063. I've got them colours from 2 different sets, so that was quite handy and unlucky for me. Again, as you can see, thin paint, coats, always thin coats, and that way it works out better. I'm using various paints now to paint the actual interior side so that you can see. And the various paints range from Vallejo's mostly to Tamiya and a couple of MIG, but mostly Vallejo to be honest, because I find them a better paint for hand brushing with. And the MIG, well, thin down really well with just water for when you're hand brushing, which is nice. You've got to paint all of these individual squares for these fuel tanks with this silver, and I tell you now, it's tedious. There's a lot of them to do. I wonder if I should have painted them first before I fitted them, but then again, I do like building my kit and painting after. It's my favourite. As you can see there, I've already painted up the cockpit, which were in a grey. That were a Tamiya one. And now I'm using some of my Vallejo's silvers that I've got on painting the engine up, trying to put a bit of a different colour silver on, but I tend to find half the time once you've painted silvers up, they all look roughly about the same. Bit of a pin wash, just going round edges, around details, just trying to make it stand out a little bit more, pop a bit. I'm not going crackers with weathering. To me, I want to show the kit off more for the detail you get with it, how it looks overall, rather than trying to show how good a painter I am. It's very tedious at times when you're doing all this pin washing, but yeah, you get used to it. A good long thin brush like this helps as well. I say long, I've got better and longer than this one. Now started to put the parts on that are not going to be removable. Just make sure I get that right way around. Again, locating pins make it a bit easier. They do sit into them. You just got to make sure you just nip them in. There's 4, 1 near each corner. That seems to sit in well. And this one's quite easy because it just sits down into that square. You'll see I'm using my Revel contactor. If you've not heard me say before, I use it when I've painted parts. I do find it eats through the part so that the paint, so that it gets to the part and but nicer. This I've got a problem with, I'll be honest with you. It's super tight and you've got to make sure it goes over the guns. But you'll see it's really tight to get on. The wetness you can see there that's on the wing part, that's Microsol. It's just decal solution I use now and then. I like to swap between that and Mr. Marks. They're both good, really good. But I do find the thinner the decal, you're better off with the Microsol microset set to use rather than using the Mr. Marks. Mr. Marks works better with slightly thicker ones. Just rub off any excess, or squeeze it out, should I say, with cotton bud. This is the micro set, and this makes it so that when it's gone off, completely done, you'll find that it looks more like it's painted on rather than an actual decal. And I just go around each actual decal after with these brushes I've got. They're not expensive, and I wish I could remember what I saw's video that used them. Brilliant undercarriage section on now. Put the doors in. They all fit perfect. That's something you can't knock about this kit. The actual fit of the small parts like that are very nice. And the wheel, again, just shoves straight in. And it does still spin. I'm using Elmer's glue just to glue on these canopies. I'll take the masking up, well, you know, the masking cover I've got over the canopy itself to protect it. I'll take them off once I've sprayed it all in flat varnish so that it looks more realistic paintwork. And that one's a very fragile one in my view, but seems to have took well. Just take the masking off of this last one, and technically that's my kit done. There. Very nice. Just get a bit of sticky stuff off there that's underneath. I've finished my Horten ho229, and yeah, I've quite enjoyed it. It's my first one that I've done with the Super Wing series. There's a zoukei-mura, I forget the pronunciation, but it's the first one I've done, and I've really enjoyed in a way building it, but it's been tedious, I'll be honest with you. It's not an easy quick build kit, but you've seen me building it and it's kind of gone together quite nicely in a way. There's a lot of parts and a lot of fine parts you're having to try and sand down and that, but we'll strip it down. We'll take the wings off first. I've not glued them in because I've wanted to see the inside. And here's the top bit off with canopy there. I've just got to be careful because that's quite fragile. And you can see the interior. It's a lovely little detail kit. Very, very nice. Like I say, I've enjoyed building it. But it's like all the painting and all of these parts here, these frames. Although it's not a lot of flash that were on them, they have got a little bit here and there, and there's odd parts you can see I didn't quite get it off. There's one there I didn't get quite enough of, but overall it looks good, it really does. But I'll be honest, if you're not an experienced modeller or used to doing a lot of modelling, I'd be very wary about building one of these until you've got a bit of experience on your shoulder. But yeah, still not quite dried that. Just press that back down. I partially knocked it off earlier, so I've had to re-glue it on. Right, this is my fault on it. This is one, and it's really a bugbear, but I think it's because I've done all, built it, painted it, and then tried sticking all of these parts on where I should have done more dry testing. Underneath here, you can see this one hasn't glued in well at all. If you can see that there, there's like a bit of a ledge and a gap, and I've painted them all, so there's no filling anything in that well then. These foot wings here, these undersides are not quite lining up there, and again here. Now maybe if I'd have glued all them on, them painted, I wouldn't be having that problem, but it's a bit late for that now, and I'm going to accept what it is that's it. Because there's only so much you can do before you end up ruining it. Trying to repaint and fill and repaint that, I'll end up ruining it. I know I will myself. So, on that note, I'm calling it done, and I'm moving on to the next one. And I hope you've enjoyed this build. There is a 1/48 scale version of this out by the same company, by the Super Wing Series 1, well, zoukei-mura, and it's meant to be a lot better than this one, mainly because there's more detail in it. because obviously at 148 scale you're really ramping it up. I believe it's 148 anyway, but it's bigger scale. But even though it has been fiddly, it's alright. It's not a bad little kit. The usual now, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe. You do me a favour there. It always helps the channel. Even better if you tick the bell notification next to it, and then that way every time I put a video up you'll get told about it. But if you don't want to subscribe, give us a thumbs up anyway. I do like it. It shows people are enjoying my content. Thanks a lot for watching. It's took me a while to build it, so bit of luck you've enjoyed my video, and I'll catch you all later.